Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I've got a really great video today because I'll be answering all of your questions that you've been sending in to me over the last week or so. So right, let's get stuck into it. Let's roll the intro and let's go. So welcome back to the channel everybody. It's great to have you back, and yeah, if you're new here, my name is Ben Parks. I'm currently a 2:25 marathoner, and this video series is all about documenting my journey to run a PB at Berlin, probably Berlin or possibly even Frankfurt Marathon as well this year. So yeah, every week I'm releasing a new video all about the training and everything I'm going on. So yeah, this is season 3 and this is episode 3 as well. And at the end of the last episode, I asked you for all of your questions about how sort of my training is going and whatever. It was a completely open book with whatever you wanted to ask. So yeah, I've got 9, and we're actually going to add on a little bonus 10th question here. Yeah, we're going to get stuck into the video now. So without further ado, if you're new here, consider subscribing down below so you can follow along on this journey as well. And right, let's get stuck into the video. Right, first question, let's go. All right guys, so the first question comes in from Johnny Scott, and Johnny asked he'd be interested to know all about my PB timeline since I've started running and what sort of mileage I was doing to achieve those times. So thanks Johnny for the question. Now, yeah, for the newer people around here, my sort of running journey is really split into 2 sort of big sections. I did the London Marathon when I was 18, and I was just kind of what I call just a standard runner. I just was trying to do like 1 marathon a year, pretty much sort of between I was about 18 up to I was around about sort of 30. So about between 2002, 2015, I was pretty much doing, yeah, I think I did about 40 marathons, so a bit more than 1 marathon a year. And my average time for those was around about 3:45. Yeah, just sort of would train for a marathon, enjoy it, have some fun with your friends. There was no sort of real performance goals or anything like that. So yeah, 2016, I was averaging around about 70k a week. For the first time I broke 3 hours, which was 2:55 in Edinburgh. And yeah, I was kind of just putting a lot more runs into the week for that. And then we went on to run 2:53 at Abingdon later on that year, and I'd up things to about 80k a week. I'll put the miles and things down here as well. Yeah, so that was about 80k a week. And then just before sort of Christmas time, I think it was quite later on in the year, did not the biggest known race, called Martello Marathon in 2:44, and I'd upped my game to about 100k a week by then. Yeah, then 2017, this is when things really started to get fun and serious. I ran 2:41 at Brighton, and then 2:38 at London Marathon a couple of weeks later, and we'd up to around about 130k a week by then. And then also I did London Marathon. A week later I did Thames Path 100-mile race, and then a week after that I ran 2:36 in Geneva. So that was just a bit crazy. I was running way too much, getting a bit cocky about it, and then I managed to get a stress fracture for a standard overuse injury in my foot. So that kind of put me out for a lot of the summer time of 2017. And then I did run a few more sub-3s later on in the year, with around about that sort of thing. It was around about 100-ish K a week. Moving on to 2018. So yeah, 2:38 at Manchester. Didn't have a good training block for that in Manchester. Then I did some sort of more trail races, and then the big sort of breakthrough Valencia last year. I think I averaged about 152k a week to run the 2:25. So yeah, that's kind of the progression over the last few years. Right, moving on to the second question. A lot of the other ones will be a lot shorter than that first one, so don't worry, we won't be here all night going through this. So Finn Markey asked, how accurate was the VO2 max score on my Garmin compared to the tests? Well, not very accurate at all. My Garmin at the moment is saying 66. That can vary anywhere between about 65 up. It has been up to 71, I think, a few times. So yeah, it kind of goes all over the place a little bit. At the moment, it thinks I can run a marathon in 2:44. So hopefully that isn't true. Not that that's not a great time, it is, but for me, I'll be quite disappointed, and I'm pretty confident I could go and run a 2:25 marathon at the weekend if I really wanted to. So yeah, that's where we're at the moment. VO2 max score, had it done in the lab, came out at 60. And as I said, this whole VO2 max thing, my advice to you, don't read too much into it. It's really not an indicator of how well, well, it's a little bit of an indicator in how well you can run, but there's so many other factors that come into play with endurance running. So question number 3 comes in from Matthew Harwell, and he asked, generally, if I'm running about 100 miles a week, am I having to buy a new pair of shoes every 4 or 5 weeks, and what shoe am I planning on racing in for the Gold Race? Well, yes, I do go through a lot of trainers. At the moment, I'm racing, doing a lot of stuff in the Nike Turbos, the first ones and the second generation ones here. The Hoka Rincons, I'm doing some nice sort of easy miles in, really nice light shoe. When I'm still doing some trail stuff, out in the Pegasus 36 trails, and then some of my sessions, not these shoes, these are my beloved Valencia shoes, but so I've got some other 4%, I'm doing some of my sessions in as well. So yeah, a little bit of sort of a collection of shoes. I don't just stick to one shoe. I do sort of different types of run in different shoes. So my easy miles, I'm kind of doing in these two, the Hokas and the Pegasus ones. My sort of more easy up to sort of up tempo in some sessions in the Nikes, some of the faster sessions in the 4%, and as I say, the trails and those. So I'm kind of always sort of mixing it up. How long do my shoes last? Well, I tend to get about 1,000 Ks out of the Nikes, and then yeah, you have to kind of switch them out. It's an expensive game buying all this stuff. I don't take any freebies off sponsors, and I buy all my own kit myself. So yeah, you know, I get a little bit of income from YouTube, and that has to go, and I make these videos, and that has to go to buying new shoes. In terms of a shoe for race day, probably because it's going to be the next percent. I haven't done much in these yet, so it will be between these two really. But yeah, you know, from what I have done in these shoes so far, they do feel pretty incredible so far. So moving on to question number 4. Ram asks, absolutely love your videos. Thanks, Ram. My question for you is strength training necessary for runners, and how to incorporate into your routines? Is strength training necessary? I think a little bit of strength training is necessary for absolutely everybody. I think if you look at some of the elite people out in Africa and things, they're probably not doing that much strength training, because you get a lot of strength training from doing all of your running. You don't see them rocking up to the gym and lifting too many weights. Is it necessary for everybody else? I think genetics and everything, you need to be doing a little bit of it. And I'm not in the gym all that much. I tend to just be there about once a week, just do a little sort of basic strength session. I'll show you some of the stuff I'm doing up on the screen somewhere now. But a lot of what I do is little and often around the house. So yeah, as I said, a lot of my sort of strength work comes from actually running and sort of doing a little bit of strength training out on my runs. So just using some benches and things that I come across. And then yeah, I might be doing some squats when I'm in the kitchen and cooking, and some calf raises when I'm doing my teeth. And it's just like that little bit and often throughout my day. And then I'm not sort of getting into the end of the week and thinking, oh God, I've got to go to the gym and this is so boring. I just kind of get it done as and when. And that suits me. And I have, you know, I touch wood. There's nothing around here. I don't really get any injuries, just some niggles here and then, and I just sort of listen to my body and what's going on. Now, a lot of this video is not going to be the same for everybody, so you have to kind of work out what's worth for you. I've had some sort of bone density scans and things. I've got some pretty chunky bones in there in my body, and not everybody is sort of blessed with that. So it's just a genetic thing, and it works quite well for me. So yeah, is strength training necessary? 100% yes. Exactly how much you need to do will kind of just depend on your own personal situation. So question number 5 comes from George Collins, and George asks, can anyone reach my level of running? He's got questions about his heavier build, and is that going to prevent him from getting beyond a certain point? And are some runners just built for running and some runners not? Well, without a doubt, yeah, your genetics and everything and what you're built with will be a slightly limiting factor. I'd say myself, I'm quite tall. About 185 centimeters, and that is very sort of tall for a lot of marathon runners. Marathon runners tend to be very small and very, very lightweight generally. I'm not lightweight. I really don't like talking about my personal weight on this channel, because people will compare and think they'll try and emulate that, and that's all sort of sparks eating disorders and all that sort of stuff. So I will never talk about weight or my own personal weight on this channel. But yeah, I'm sort of a tall guy, and I seem to be able to deliver okay. The likes of someone like James Cracknell, who's an Olympic rower, or retired Olympic rower. Yeah, he's like about 6'6" tall. He's a huge guy, and he ran about a 250 marathon. I really do believe anyone within reason could run a sub 3 hour marathon. Could you get down to sub 2:30? Probably not. If you have some sort of that, if you're just that sort of chunkier rugby player type build, it really is going to be hard for you to get down much lower than that. Can anyone, you know, if you fall into that sort of general bit in the middle, can anyone get there? It's really difficult. I think that the biggest sort of factor I find is motivation. It's really good at getting out there every single day and getting on the, so getting your training done and having that belief and that ability to suffer and go through the training and last through that race as well. It really is, it's a lot up here. It's a big sort of mind game as well. Not everybody has that mind, and the more I sort of coach people and the more I meet people and the more I run, some people are blessed with that. Some people can deal with going through that pain barrier in the training and motivation and getting out there day after day and clicking off these workouts all the time, and some people can't. I really don't know if that can be taught, but yeah, it's just something I personally don't struggle with, and I think that's why my training's been quite well. So I think the main sort of limiting barrier is that what's up here more than what's all over here, to be honest. And that's sort of my sort of personal opinion there. Right, so moving on to number 6. Jake asks, do I have any training partners or do I train alone? Well, Jake, I do a lot of my training by myself. I am a member of a club, I'm a member of Serpentine, and I haven't been to a single Serpentine session in about 3 years of being a member, so that's pretty poor effort from my point of view. But from what I do, I'm busy, I'm traveling around all the time, here, there and everywhere. I'm working, and I just kind of need to train when I need to train. That whole sort of training in a group and things, I have a group of people that I train with. They vary from people that have PBs from 2:45 up to PBs of 6:20. That might surprise some people. They're just friends that live in the local area, and I love training with them and sort of helping them through their running. And I get my kicks of seeing them progress and helping them out. So do I train with people? No, as I say, I just want to train when I want to train. When I wake up in the morning, sometimes I'll move my workouts around, and sometimes when you can train in a group, you tend to push yourself a lot more. A lot of men especially can be very competitive out there, and yeah, as I say, I just want to train exactly how I want to train. That doesn't mean to say I don't like going for some nice easy relaxed runs with friends and people I see out and about and things, and you know, I do training, but any sort of dedicated training I just kind of get done by myself. Moving on to number 7, and that comes from Brian Kennedy. So thanks for getting in touch, Brian, and he has asked what sort of professionals, such as coaches or physios, that I'll be using during the training. So yeah, fundamentally my training, I plan everything out that myself. I've got a few sort of mentors out there that I like to sort of touch base with and so sort of see how things are going. But pretty much everything I do, 99.9% of all my training is what comes from here. And yeah, also sort of speak to Sarah about a few bits and pieces and things as well. So in terms of coaches and things, it's all me. Massages, going to get a weekly massage. A really lovely lady called Josie who comes around and sets up in our front room here. And yeah, I really think that's important just to help keep the legs fresh. And yeah, it's a bit of a luxury every single week. And it's expensive and I'm using a lot of money for it, but I really think that's going to give me some really good performance gains, and my legs are not going to get too tired, and yeah, get everything sort of nicely flushed out and good for injury prevention as well. So investing the money there. Also, any sort of injuries and niggles, I just pick up the phone straight away and speak to a guy called Scott Newton, a physio in London. Really, really top guy. If you live anywhere near London, you've got some little niggles you want, get in touch with Scott. Really recommended. And yeah, sort of I had a little niggle last week, so yeah, straight on the phone, booked in an appointment, next day, really, yeah, and we got it sorted, and now it's gone. Really don't like turning to the computer and Dr. Google to diagnose those sorts of things, but as I always say, running is my life, it's my job, it's my profession, so yeah, these sort of things I take really seriously. And finally, the other person I'll be seeing, we talked about it in a few of the last videos, is Shane Benzie, a sort of a movement specialist, movement coach, to get to get me moving across the ground a little bit better and improve my form, in the marathon. So I'm going to catch up with Shane. Really looking forward to catching up with him this coming Saturday, and yeah, hopefully get some footage from there as well. So number 8, Edwin asks, he's got a long question here, but he's essentially asked, do I have a recovery week? And how do I build up my mileage to sort of a nice sort of safe level with reducing the injury risk? Well, yes, I do have a recovery week. I had a recovery week last week, which was did 300-mile weeks, and then had a recovery week. And now I'm going to a next sort of 3-week block. So this is all going to be about 170 to 180k a week for the next 3 weeks, and then I'll drop it right down again. Then I'll build it up and drop it right down again. So yeah, I'll have a recovery week I guess that's every 4th week. And in terms of building your mileage up safely and reducing your injury risk, yeah, you know, there's the whole sort of 10% rule, so don't run more than 10% than you did on the week before, and just sort of gradually build it up that way. That's a really good method, you know, to sort of stick to. Most training plans out there will incorporate that into them, or most good training plans. That's certainly what the training plans I sell on the website do. And yeah, a lot of sort of easy, relaxed runs. Not every run, people have this sort of thing of tearing around the place, getting to the end of the run, and you've got hands on knees and they're like absolutely knackered. Well, the majority of the runs I get to, I finish them and I feel absolutely fine. And yeah, it's just safely building a lot of easy mileage, a lot of recovery mileage, a lot of looking at your heart rate, a lot of sort of sub 150s or whatever your particular heart rate, and sort of sticking in that recovery zone or easy run zone for those things. And then yeah, get out and do your intensity stuff when you're doing your sessions or some longer stuff at the weekend. So question number 9 comes from Fox in the Box FM, a radio station out there, I'm sure. I'll check you guys out soon. And they've simply asked, what motivates me? This is a really difficult one to ask, and I think all that it comes down to is the big unknown. I just don't know at the moment how far we can take this. You know, when I did my Valencia block last year, that was the first time I'd ever really put a dedicated training block together, trained really sort of properly for it, and got a really good result with a 2:25 marathon. Yes, of course, I trained for other marathons, as you saw, and we did okay, but I was still sort of working in very much a full-time job, out the house for hours and hours every day, and I've completely changed my life around so I can work at this as hard as I can. So the motivation is I just don't know how far I can take this. Can we run a 2:20 marathon? I don't know. Can we run a 2:16, 2:15? One of my great heroes out there, a guy called Steve Way, who completely transformed his life around, and he ran a 2:14 marathon, qualified for the Commonwealth Games. Could I run in the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in a few years? I just don't know. It sounds ridiculous. I know that does. You know, can we get a GB singlet? Can we get an England singlet? That's what I love every day. I love challenging myself. Yeah, I'm starting to realise I've got a little bit of a gift for the running, and I just want to exploit that, and just who knows where it's going to go, but I know that you guys out there will be the first to know and follow along, and that's where it kind of all goes to, because the more I run and the more success that I kind of get with it, the more the channel grows, the more content I can create. And I just love hearing all of your stories as well. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning, is when you guys message me and you let me know all of your successes on a Monday morning, and you send me pictures of you running a race in your hat and you get a PB. I love it. I absolutely love it. I love hearing your stories, and I love seeing your journeys and, you know, sharing it around. And I never put out really sort of strong opinions on there, because I'm not right on everything. And I love hearing all of your opinions on things. And maybe, you know, I say what I'm doing and you can tell me what you're doing. We have a chat about it down in the comments. I think that's really important in sort of growing, you know, the channel. And yeah, I don't know, as you can see, I was sort of rambling, but I just love running so much. I love the community. I love getting out there and running through the seasons and through the mountains and on the track, and it's just the most amazing thing. And, you know, fundamentally, humans, we're born to be out there running, we're born to be out there exploring, we're born to move. And I just feel so alive when I'm out there training. Anyway, I'm going to go all evangelical on the channel here. But yeah, as I say, just love hearing your stories. So always, guys, let me know what's going on. And yeah, it doesn't take much to motivate me at the moment, but it's just so exciting with what we've got coming up. And finally, moving on to number 10, which is, this has come up a lot of times in the comments of the last video, and that was people asking about diet. So just wanted to touch on that really, really quickly. So yeah, fundamentally, still nothing has changed in my diet. Still very much sort of plant-based runner out there. Don't use the V word too much, vegan. But yeah, that's kind of the diet I'm following, and that's working really well for me. That doesn't mean it's going to work very well for you, much like it doesn't work for Kiki here. Do you want to see the camera? Yeah, she is definitely not a plant-based cat. But anyway, all I'm trying to say is, whatever diet you're sort of following out there, really my advice is get some blood tests and make sure the diet you're following is going to be working well for you. I use a company called Medichecks, and I sort of touch base with them and make sure that my body is being fueled properly and it's getting all the essential nutrients that it needs. So being plant-based. I'm looking at my iron levels, looking at vitamin B12, things like that. And yeah, sort of I know, and I really try and consciously eat a lot of the product, sort of the sources of those type of things that I know it is a little bit harder to get in my diet. And yeah, it's going really well. And all the tests I've had, and I've talked about it on the channel before with some tests, everything has been really good there. So all I'm trying to say is you can be very healthy and very unhealthy with any diet that you're following out there. So my simple little advice is get some sort of blood tests every now and then. And it's just about being responsible and taking care for your health out there. So there we have it, guys. That was a little bit of fun, and I really enjoyed that. And I thank you so much for everybody for sending those questions in. And yeah, I hope you learned a little bit from that as well. This is the 3rd episode. I've already recorded the 4th episode, so that will be out in a few days, which was all about my recovery week last week and being out and spending some time on the trail. So that will be coming out in the next few days. And yeah, finally, thank you to the audience for the engagement, the comments, and I couldn't do these videos without you. If there's anything else you want to know, something I've missed on, leave a comment down below and I'll get back to as many people as I possibly can as well. Likes and shares and subscriptions and growing the channel. Yeah, this channel is going through the roof at the moment. I'm kind of struggling to keep up to create as much content as you guys want, but that is my main goal for the year, to make more videos and to help more of you out on your running journey as well. So as usual, guys, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, share with your friends that you think might benefit from this kind of stuff. All the hats and things, we have got more coming in. There's always more hats coming in, but as soon as I buy them, you guys buy them straight off me, and then we're out of stock again. So we've got loads of stuff coming in over the next few weeks, and these hoodies and things as well, which are quite cool on the back. As you can see, they've got the getting it done on the back, so we've got those coming shortly. So thanks very much, guys. Love you lots. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.